Welcome! In this tutorial, we will demonstrate how to enable various restrict access settings in an e-class course. Restrict access settings give instructors powerful control over how students engage with course content. By setting conditions based on dates, activity completion, grades, groups, or profile fields, instructors can personalize learning paths and ensure prerequisites are met before students can move on to any content that follows. This makes it possible to create differentiated lessons, enforce a logical sequence of activities, or support mastery-based learning, all while guiding students through a clear and structured journey. Restrict access settings can be set for whole sections or tabs, specific activities like discussion forums, assignment drop boxes, and quizzes, as well as resources like pages, URLs, and files. Let's take a closer look at how to select and customize these settings for activities or resources in your e-class course. To add a restriction, first turn Edit Mode on. Find the item that you'd like to restrict and select its settings. On the Settings page, scroll down to the Restrict Access section and click Add Restriction. There are several types of restrict access settings. Activity completion allows you to restrict access until students complete another activity. For example, students must finish Quiz 1 before accessing Lesson 2. This is useful for creating learning pathways. To use this specific restriction, you must have completion conditions set up in other items in the course. Date allows you to control access based on specific dates, before or after a set time. For example, you would open an assignment only after December 10th. Grade allows you to control access depending on a student's grade in another activity. For example, a restriction could be set to only allow students who scored above a 70% on a quiz to access advanced materials. Group allows you to limit access to specific groups or groupings that you've set up within your course. For example, Group 1 could see Case Study A, while Group 2 would see Case Study B. User Profile allows you to control access based on fields in a user's profile. For example, you could set it up to restrict by name or email address. And Restriction Set allows you to combine multiple restrictions into a set with logic. For example, you could require both a passing grade and that they must be in Group 1 for a student to see the particular item. Let's look at a few practical examples. Using Restrict Access by Date could allow you to automate particular sections of your course to open up on certain dates and times. First, ensure that Edit Mode is on, and then select the Settings icon for the tab. You are now on the Settings page for this particular tab or section of your course. Scroll down to Restrict Access and click Add Restriction. Select Date, and then select the date based on your preferences. Scroll down and click Save Changes. Now this particular tab is available after the date and time that you've selected. If you prefer for the tab to be completely invisible to students until this date and time, click Edit Restrictions and select the eyeball icon. If the eyeball icon has a cross through it, it indicates that the students will not be able to see the tab at all until they meet the condition, in this case, the date. Now let's look at an example based on activity completion. Let's say that you have a few discussions in your class, but you would like for students to first read or watch resources in order to complete the discussion. Select the settings for the discussion in question and click Edit Settings. Scroll down to Restrict Access and click Add Restriction. Here you'll select Activity Completion. Choose the particular resources you would like for students to watch or read prior to being able to participate in this activity. You can select more than one by clicking Add Restriction again. Scroll down and click Save and Return to Course. Now you'll see for this particular discussion that there are certain conditions that students must meet in order to participate in this activity. Now let's look at an example that includes logic. Let's say you want your students to complete all other activities and assignments in the course prior to being able to do the journal reflection. Select the settings for the journal. Scroll down to Restrict Access and click Add Restriction. Here you're going to choose Restriction Set and click Add Restriction again. First, you're going to select that you'd like for them to complete an activity. For example, we want them to complete the class discussions. We'd also like it if they got a certain grade on those discussions. Now you have a complex logic. Scroll down and click Save and Return to Course. Now your journal activity is set up so that students must have completed the prior discussion as well as having achieved a certain grade on a prior activity. By using Restrict Access settings thoughtfully, you can guide learners step by step, keeping them motivated and ensuring that each activity builds on the last. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to explore Restrict Access in your own courses to make learning more dynamic and engaging.